Perfect. Hey, Jobbers, welcome back. Today we are chatting with Renee LeMaire all about networking without the ick and how to build real vendor relationships. But first, let me introduce our guest. Renee is an award-winning wedding photographer known for her timeless editorial style and her gift for capturing the quiet, meaningful moments that define a wedding day. With nearly 2 decades in the industry, she has built a reputation for creating an experience that feels calm, connected, and deeply personal for every couple she serves. Beyond her work behind the camera, Renee is a passionate community builder in the wedding space. She has also founded the WIPA Cleveland chapter to bring vendors together, champion collaboration, and create a more supportive, values driven industry. She is also the founder of Artfully Aligned, a coaching and education platform for creative entrepreneurs focused on intentional growth, sustainable success, and building businesses that truly support the lives behind them. Through her leadership and her artistry, Renee is dedicated to elevating both the wedding experience and the creative community she loves. Welcome, Renee.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you guys.
You have quite the portfolio, so we obviously are going to have a lot to talk about.
I know when you say that out loud, I'm like, why, how do I have time? I don't know. That's a lot of things.
Fair.
How do any of us have time?
Right. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, hold on really quick. Could you hear an echo?
No. Do you still
No.
have
Okay.
one?
Right now it stopped, but that whole introduction, it was like echoing. So if I need to redo it, I can. I don't know what's going on. Hmm.
Weird. Did you look at your settings on your laptop? Is it plugged into the right audio? Because sometimes it defaults,
Maybe.
but you do sound like you're coming in through a mic.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
says it's connected to the mic. Okay. Well,
Hmm.
hopefully it's not on the recording.
No, I mean, I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, it
Okay.
sounded fine on my end too.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Renee. So let's dive in. Tell us a little bit more about this new venture you're launching, Artfully Aligned.
Yeah, over the past couple years, I have really felt a shift in helping people in my community. Part of that was with WIPA and getting to know a lot of new people in our industry, but also like really wanting to help them further rather than just building community, but really getting to the basics on defining their goals and really starting their business off with clarity and intention. But also not just new business owners either. I feel like sometimes all of us seasoned veteran business owners kind of get in the weeds a little bit with our goals and our intentions in our business. And we start to realize why is this a goal? Is this fitting my future plans? Is it supporting my overall goal for life, not just in my
Mm.
business? So I think that has been a lot of my driving factor because I have recently experienced that. So having that moment where you take a step back and be like, wait a second, why am I doing this? Does this align with where I want to be? And is this really supporting like my life and not just my business, and my business coming first over my life and my personal life. So
Because you're saying we should not follow every shiny object that we see. Is this what I'm hearing, Renee?
yes, yeah,
Gabby and I need to hear this.
We need to hear
yeah,
this. We're
yeah.
listening.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us just kind of fall into following goals that other people have
Yeah.
because we don't know any better. We're small business owners. We have no one else to look to. We're the only ones, running the ship. So we're looking to what other people are doing for their goals. And sometimes that might not align with what we want out of our lives. I have friends that are hustlers and, good for them. I champion them. I applaud them. But at the end of the day, that's not what I want my life to look like. So my
Yeah.
goals should be different than that. And I feel like when you're looking at the outside of, your colleagues and your competitors and other people in this industry and you're seeing what their goals are, you kind of fall into this trap of like, oh, that's what I should be doing too, but really just defining those goals without taking a step back and seeing if it actually aligns with what you want in life and if it's really supporting you.
That's such a good reminder because I feel like for myself, I'm like on Instagram all the time, like, but look at what they're doing. And then I'm like, wait, but I don't want that. It's like
Right.
I
Yeah.
need to like focus on what, my goals are.
Well,
Yeah.
even something as simple as like the whole growing a team aspect, right? Like Carrie and I, we've talked about this. I don't know that your goal was to ever have a large team and that you were doing most of the weddings, yourself and you had some help on some of them. Whereas I would like to outsource to the team and not do them, but still have the business running, even if I'm not the sole planner. So that's I'm seeing a lot more of that too, where some people want to stay the lead designer and be the only one to do that. And that's amazing. And that's a great goal for them. And some people want to build a big team and they want to do, higher volume perhaps. So that's no, that's good to think about.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it's
how
tricky.
that supports your family, your personal life, things like that. What does that look like for you too, outside of just the business?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Renee, you have been in the wedding industry for 17 years. Props. Gabby and I have been in around 11, 12. Gabby,
12,
maybe
12.
a
Yeah.
little bit more. How has your relationship to networking changed from like early career Renee to now?
So I think part of it is just getting older and being like stopping, you know, not caring what people think as much anymore. So I think that also comes with age. But also, I think just giving myself permission to show up more authentically as myself. I feel like you want to make a good first impression, of course, but just doing that with small talk and just really surface level things, which is not who I am. I'm not a surface level kind of person. So I feel like eventually, if I really do get to know these people, they're going to figure out who I am anyways. So I think it's best to just lead with myself authentically. So I think giving myself that permission, but also knowing that I don't have to be for everybody. And I think that's okay. There's going to be the people in your industry that align with you and that have a similar experience and are offering a similar service to their clients. Those are going to be the people that you align with more, and there's going to be people that you don't align with, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's interesting too because I'm laughing out loud at the word interesting now that we say side note Renee and we can
I
keep
heard the
this or
last
no. You
episode.
heard okay. Now that I'm the one, I'm the
The default.
problem. I'm the problem with the word
Do
interesting.
we have a
Okay.
tally going like at the bottom? Like,
We should. We should. Um, but what's kind of fun to think about is I would say when we started our career, right, and we go to what's called a networking event, there's a lot of spray and pray. There's a lot of, like you said, surface level conversations, passing out business cards. And I see that less and less, which is a good thing because I do think trying to find value in the connections and trying to really get to know the vendors a little bit more is how we're going to want to recommend them because as planners we're like who do I want to hang out with on the wedding day or who do I think is so aligned and I would love to follow them on Instagram for their personal life. Like I hate to say it, I don't really want to follow a much of your business life. I'm interested, but I think it is so much more fun to connect with someone on their on things that we have in common in their personal life.
yeah.
And so, there is a little bit of pressure perhaps right now that in the industry that there's a little bit of let's network the right way and planners and venues are frustrated with cold email and DMs from other vendors that are saying put me on the list and we don't know, how to reply kindly and educate or what I mean, but how do we navigate that? What is the right way to network and like what are people getting wrong? And it's not necessarily their fault, it's perhaps what we've been taught from early on. But how can we just kind of navigate that better?
Yeah, I don't know that I could speak to like how as a planner to do that without just, saying, "Hey, I don't have time," or like, this, I want to get to know you better. I think maybe just inviting them to some of the networking events that you're going to would be great. If you're going to be there in the room, encourage them to meet others. But I think in terms of like networking the right way, or like feeling that pressure and what they've been told is that you don't have to always connect with planners. That doesn't have to be like your main source. You can find value in creating relationships with every discipline in this
Mm.
industry. Like those people are going to know people getting married. They're going to have friends and family that are getting married. They're going to have clients from time to time that ask you, "Hey, we're still looking for a photographer. Do you know of anyone?" Like a rentals company or a musician. I've even referred planners before. So it's not just that hierarchy of
Yeah.
like everyone needs to reach out to the planner or the venue. I think there's definitely value in finding those relationships all throughout the industry and not just within those top categories, if that makes sense.
Mhm. So, I mean, we talk about like shifting from transactional connections to trust-based relationships because I think a lot of times we go to these networking events and it feels very transactional, like everyone's just trying to like share about their business and what you do and figure out what the other person does. I guess what does this look like in practice, especially for vendors who are introverted or, they're nervous about going to these types of events or even for people like us who might, you're in the industry for a long time, but you feel a little burnt out as well. Because I would definitely say sometimes I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to go to another networking thing because I feel exhausted, even though I know it's still beneficial no matter how long you've been in the industry."
Yeah, I can speak to that because I'm definitely introverted and I need like 3 to 5 business days to decompress after a networking event. Like, don't talk to me afterwards. Not that I don't enjoy it, but it just takes a lot and it drains my social battery. Like, I really love connecting with the people that are there, but I just need some downtime afterwards. In terms of like connecting when you're burnout, I think those are the times that you really find the people that you can lean on and just support you during that time. Relationships don't always have to be transactional in a sense of like, are you going to give me work? Are you going to give me a job or a client? It could be supportive. It could be, hey, I had a rough year and I need somebody to talk to and I need to vent about this. Or like, hey, I had this issue with a client. How would you handle this? Or even just learning from them and how they run their business. The relationships that you're building don't have to have like a monetary price tag on them. And I think that that's also a really big misconception is people feel like they're not getting anything out of the relationship unless they make money off of it, which
Mhm.
kind of sucks. I wouldn't want to feel like that was the only reason someone was friends with me or like wanted a relationship with me. I think it could go deeper than just the surface level transactional monetary
Mhm.
relationship.
Do you
Yeah.
have like icebreaker questions that you okay, because like I feel I'm getting like okay, we've been on vacation, it has been the holidays. I haven't talked to a soul, except Carrie. And so we're getting ready to go back into like pre-wedding season. I'm ready to see people and network again. I'm trying to think strategically, but also deeper because I'm the same. I want to have deeper conversations than just like, what do you do? Where do you live? Like, what is that? And, but what's a good question to ask? I'm happy being the one opening the conversations and approaching people, but I wanted like, what's a good one to get to the meat of it? And that's where I struggle. Like, oh, hi, I'm Gabby. Bam, hit them with an awesome question that they'll remember me for.
I don't know. That's a hard one. I feel like more of my conversation starters I'm getting because I have like a relationship with them built online. So I'm following their personal
Okay.
life, like you said. So like I'm asking, oh, how's your dog doing? Or
Yeah.
like, how was your Christmas break with your kids? Did you guys do anything fun? Things like that that
Okay.
I'm really paying attention to, and I'm just connecting with them a little bit more on a personal level. In terms of like just meeting somebody like completely unknown, that's hard because you don't know anything about them. So it's hard to like kind of start that conversation without it feeling surface level because you just don't know. But what I typically do is I go around and introduce everyone that's near me so that way they know and they feel part of a community, they feel
Yeah.
welcomed. So if I'm standing near a group of people, I'll be like, hey, let me introduce you to this person. She does this. And then we talk about, their business. And then the conversation just starts
Yeah.
flowing there as a group setting more than like a one-on-one, tell me your favorite movie or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like right now a good opener, and Carrie and I are going to talk about this on a solo episode, but it could be like, so what are your thoughts about the vagina arch that went
Oh yeah,
viral?
that's a
Going
great one.
around.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be a good conversation starter. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe there'll be a few like key wedding moments in the last decade that we could bring up as like, so what are your thoughts on that?
Yes. I love that. It cuts the tension. It definitely gets the talk going. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Um,
think a good reminder for myself often going into those situations is like most people don't know each other, but you walk into the room feeling like everyone's best friends, everyone knows each other. And more often than not, I like join a group of people and they're all like meeting for the first time. They're like, oh yeah,
yeah.
we don't know each other, but they're just like in a conversation. And I think it helps you feel a little bit more at ease to be like, not everybody here is like besties and like has known each other forever.
right. And also, like, everyone there is uncomfortable. Nobody loves small talk. Nobody's like, I cannot wait to go be surface level friends with everyone in this room.
Right.
Like, no one is excited to be in that situation. They want to be deep, like, they want to have deeper relationships. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be, digging deeper than just like surface level conversations that don't have any substance. But also everyone there is intimidated. Nobody's comfortable in that setting. It's not just you. So I think remembering that going into it, and also like no one is paying attention to you as much as you are. Like nobody
That's
is noticing
true.
those things or the things that you feel insecure about. As much as you do. They're probably all focusing on their insecurities and their things and not seeing yours. So I think also just remembering that, like, we all have these things that we're not 100% comfortable with, and everyone has their insecurities, and nobody is completely comfortable in this setting. I think just giving each other grace in a networking environment is just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and you brought up something really good to note about if you are someone in the room who knows other people, to be the one to introduce them. So if you are amongst your besties, to make sure that if you find someone that's walking in that really doesn't seem to know anybody, be the one to reach out because you have a little bit of an advantage here where you do know people and it's your job as a kind person to introduce them and make them feel comfortable. And I think that's something really important to know because it's easy for us to stay in our small group and chit chat and catch up. And it's not that we're purposefully ignoring other people. It's just that we're like, oh my gosh, all my friends are here. I have so much to talk about. But don't forget about those that were in your shoes a couple years ago that maybe need someone to reach out and be like, hi, come in. Like,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
And I do think the wedding industry has turned a page from many years ago when it was seen as a very catty competitive industry. And I'm not saying that's not happening anymore, but I do think with groups along the way, like the Rising Tide Society back in the day and all these other small groups, probably even WIPA, it's helped connect everyone and make it a value to these groups to say everyone's welcome. Make sure you pull up a chair for them at your table. Like don't ever make someone feel like an outcast. And I think that's really great.
Yeah, I mean, why you're there to network? Why
Yeah.
would you want to exclude anybody? Like that's your whole point in being there is to connect with people. That's definitely something that I've had to learn and how to do and like put myself out there is being that connector for WIPA events. Since I am running it and I'm on the board and I know a lot of the members now, it gives me a job, which is I kind of like at a networking event. It gives me something to do. So that way I'm not just like standing there like deer in the headlights, not sure what to do. So I think being that connector with people and introducing people to our board and our established members, I think that's a great way for me to connect people, but also for me to not feel like I am floundering as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Fair. Well, let's talk about WIPA a little bit. So, we were saying just before we started recording that I just joined WIPA this year for the first time, and I'm in Nashville, and I'm really excited. And I will say, I was saying to Renee, I've always felt from the outside looking in that WIPA was just a little kind of hoity-toity elite type of organization that I almost like felt an outcast in. But I came to realize all my friends, all my wedding professional friends are in the Nashville WIPA group, and that like I want to be, I'm having FOMO. I want to be part of it. And the education seems to be really great. The design was very design forward, which I appreciate. And we sometimes don't get the opportunity to see a lot of these designs. So I'm very excited to be part of it. And we can do a solo episode a few months from now where I have attended my first meeting and I can give some thoughts on
Yeah.
how it went. But um as like you founded a brand new chapter, and I'm guessing, I'm wondering, what have you learned about building communities that actually like last, because you're now a chapter that you need this group to kind of last versus communities that are more, pretty on paper but have fizzled out. And WIPA has a strong brand behind it, so that I'm sure has helped. But what are you doing to really lift and build that community?
I think the biggest thing that we've learned as a new chapter is to listen to your members and what they want. Every chapter and every market is different. Some markets really like the networking aspect and just seeing their people and meeting their friends. Some chapters really value that education aspect and they want like really high name educators there. So I think it just depends on what chapter you're part of, but also just listening to the members in your chapter and what they want out of those networking events. A lot of the feedback that we get is like, the events are really great, but we're dancing and we're eating and the music's really loud. We don't have time to have like those deeper conversations. So then we're kind of like shifting gears and we're doing a lot more coffee chats where it's just very bare bones, just to connect with people and over a cup of coffee with a group of like 20 people or whoever wants to join that month. So just hearing what they want out of it, I think, is the way to sustain that community, and how your community wants to connect. So yeah, that has been, I think, the biggest challenge. We want to keep the events elevated and elegant, but also make them accessible to people. That's the whole reason for having a national organization and local chapters is, some people don't want to travel to California or the East Coast. They have families and they want to be home at the end of the day. They want to go for an evening and then, come back. And that makes more sense to them logistically, still giving them the opportunity to have a really elevated experience, an educational experience, a chance to connect with people, but doing it locally. So, yeah, that was my goal in creating it.
What if you did a black tie coffee date?
That would be fun.
Keep
Yeah.
it super upscale in because like WIPA's really great about I love seeing the dresses that people are wearing
Mhm.
or the attire in general. I'm like, what if you just did a really luxurious coffee date? I would totally go to that
That
because
would
then
be
I can be in
fun.
bed by
Yeah.
9.
Yes, I'm all about being in bed by 9. Yeah. Everyone's
And
like,
I
let's go out afterwards. I'm like,
oh
no,
no thanks.
I will be
Yeah.
starting my 3 to 5 business days of decompression and going to bed. So
And
I look
something like that feels way less intimidating because I think
yeah,
sometimes when you do go to an event that's like dinner and drinks and dancing, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to be on a dance floor with these people that I don't know. And
right.
like, again, you're in your head, like feeling like everyone's going to be judging you, but everyone's thinking the same thing. But
Yeah.
I love having like those more intentional opportunities or moments, and I think that's kind of where better relationships are formed, and a
100%.
lot of times relationships take some time to build, right? And I'm curious, Renee, like as the president of your chapter, how do you find like the patience or like, keeping things consistent to provide people with opportunities where they can connect and not just like people wanting these opportunities where they feel like they need to connect right now to survive in business and like, kind of make a sale in a sense of like, please refer me type of thing instead like really working on building those relationships with people in their community.
Yeah. I mean, anything worth doing is going to take time. And I think that's especially true for relationships. it's like that with any relationship, with your spouse, with your partner, and business relationships too. You want to build that slowly. You don't want to just like rush into anything and expect a certain result out of that. Um, it's never too late or it's never too early to start networking and building those relationships. So, you know, it does take time, and I think that's just one of the things that you're gonna have to be okay with. I think putting yourself in an environment where you can connect with people more and they could see your work ethic, like volunteering to be on a WIPA board or on a committee.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know that that's necessarily going to fast track anything, but it's definitely going to show people your work ethic and who you are, getting to actually work with them side by side. So, I think there's possibilities out there that you can put yourself out there a little bit more and kind of show somebody a little bit quicker who you are, how you work. But again, with anything, like I don't think rushing it is the best idea or having those set expectations going into a relationship. Um, is always a good idea too, because you can be surprised. You never know what that relationship is going to turn into. It could be monetary, it could be something completely different that you never expect. So,
Yeah. I feel like, especially, I mean, Gabby and I can speak to this. I think we've made a lot of friends with other fellow wedding planners. And I think a lot of times, maybe even not so much now, people were so like, I can't be friends with them because they're my competition,
Mm.
right? But for me, it's been helpful, like to see them at networking things. And sometimes we are just like commiserating on like experiences we've had or asking for advice or just you feel less alone. And I think when you're running your own business, it's nice to be friends with people who are doing exactly what you're doing. And also, that's turned into like us referring clients to other planners because we're like, this isn't the best fit for me, or I'm not available. And it's like we've built that rapport of like, we trust you, we're friends with you, but we don't need to compete with you. And I just think it's nice to have that camaraderie with people who are like, doing the exact same thing as you, right? Whether you're a photographer or a florist, it's like nice to have those shared experiences that you can talk about.
I agree. And that's what, that's it. I feel like that's always been pretty big in the photography community. Two of my very best friends are photographers, and technically they could be my direct competition, but when they're booked, they refer me. When I'm booked, I refer them. Um, and also it's good to commiserate. We're talking about taxes and stuff, and like how are you setting up your taxes this year? Are you a S corp or, things like that that my husband doesn't want to talk about. So, but also like I know that there's a group of planners in my area too that are doing the same thing, and they're all very different in their styles, and they might meet with a client that's like, this person probably isn't a good fit for my brand, but you'd be a great fit for so and so's brand. So, even though you're on the same playing field, kind of doing the same thing, I still think there's value in those relationships more than people realize.
Yeah. And you know what I just thought of? What happens when you connect with a person and you love, like you have great online connection and whatnot, but their work is not aligned with what you would want to recommend to your clients, right? Like I've had this um in photography, for example, where I'm like, oh, I love this human, like I love this human, but I'm not the work style or editing is just not aligned with what I want to present to my clients. And that's hard because you almost, I don't know if you have to limit your friendship based off of the quality of work, or do you, how you don't even tell, how do you tell this person? Or you just, that's really hard. I've had that happen. I don't know how to
I
navigate.
I think again, one, you can refer those people to planners that would be a good fit. Or, if a planner is looking for a certain photographer and that person checks that box, I think that's a great opportunity to pass their name along. But again, also, I don't think it has to be just solely based on like what clients can you provide me.
Hmm.
I've had friends that are planners that I have never gotten any work from, but they're really valued friends of mine because they've taught me so much about like my business and how I want to show up as a business person and for my clients, the client experience, they've just taught me so much in that realm that that's already valuable enough to me. I have one planner friend where she put out a call like, "Hey, I'd like to connect with vendors." So I'm like, "Okay, let's do this." And, expecting just very basic surface level conversation, but out of that relationship, she has taught me how to be like more inclusive in my business and change wording to promote, to same-sex couples and things like that because she's part of the LGBTQ plus community. So that alone has had so much value in my business. I don't need any, I don't necessarily need the client referral from her to get that value. There's so much more there that you can learn from other people.
Yeah. That's
That's such
great
a
because
great point. Yeah.
that was going to be my next
Yeah.
question is like sharing and do you have an example of a relationship that was maybe help grown organically in a sense and maybe led to unexpected opportunities in that sense, and you start with just a quick conversation about how your chicken's doing, and then next thing you know you're talking about business and sharing tips and tricks. So that's great, and that's a really good point, Renee, is like not everything has to lead to dollar signs. And I do think the more we spread the word about that, the more connections will be authentic, because I do think we bump up against people that are still in the way of thinking that there has to be an ROI to this DM, and that makes it hard for us to break through that if we're just trying to have organic conversations and reply to their fun story about their kids sledding or whatever it is. So yeah, the more we talk about this is not every DM has to have a dollar sign attached to it.
Right. And nobody wants to feel like an ROI. Nobody wants
Right.
to feel like a money sign at the end of the day. They want to feel like a human being and a person and, with emotions and feelings, and they want to be seen just as much as they want to see other people.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely something to keep in mind too, is like you wouldn't want to feel like a dollar sign. This person at the other end doesn't probably want to feel like that either.
I feel like that what you stated answered Gabby and I's questions because, like, I was gonna say, even just like showing up with like a genuine curiosity and not an agenda to like get the referrals, but that relationship maybe could lead to collaborations or just like you said, business advice. And I think that's such a great way to approach some relationships of like being genuinely curious on like how they run their business, and maybe like you said they're not bringing you clients, but I do think that is maybe bringing you money that you maybe wouldn't have gotten before because your business is more inclusive. And so it's like looking at it in other ways of like how has it helped you to grow your business that might not be a direct referral.
Yeah, I think just not approaching relationships with expectations.
Mhm.
That's like the biggest thing. Like, you're not gonna, it's just like dating, like going to a bar. You're not gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna meet my partner today. Like, they're in this room. That would be a little unhinged. So, like,
We love Unhinged.
yeah. I mean, I love Unhinged too. I don't love it for me, but I love
No,
it for
no.
other people.
We love
Um,
to witness it. Yeah.
right,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. But like you wouldn't do that in like a normal relationship building setting. Why would you do it in like a business relationship? Like coming in without an agenda, with no set expectations and just seeing what happens, I think that's the best way to approach connection and networking.
And I think there's also a time, we haven't really talked about this, but when to end a, we'll call it relationship or connection. If you are feeling like you're the one that's giving and there's no reciprocation, or there's always an ask on the other end of the conversation, if you try really hard to make not have expectations of sales, not have an ROI attached to it, but on the other side it keeps coming back as that, I also think it's okay to say, okay, that person's not there yet. They don't
Yeah.
understand the value of this new age of relationship building and communication. I'm going to go ahead and just end that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that comes into kind of the first point that I made is finding the people that you align with. Some people are very money driven, and that's okay. That's, part of their business model, part of their personality. But, for me personally, I want deeper connection. I want authentic relationships. I want to be really intentional. I would rather have that over the dollar sign.
Yeah.
So I think finding the people that you align with in that sense is great. And, it's okay that you're not for everybody and that you don't align with everybody. If you did, I feel like we would probably have to take a step back and think of why. Why are you kind of relating and, aligning with all these people because you're going a million different directions then. So,
Yeah, you're not being authentic to yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that it comes back to aligning yourself with the people that you relate the most with and that offer the same experience that you want to offer your clients, and have the same like values, the same outlook in their business, and also being okay with the people that aren't there with you, that don't
Hmm.
align with you, and that's okay.
Hmm. Yeah. And Renee, in your experience, how have these connections vendor to vendor affected wedding and event clients? Like, do you feel, do couples notice when a team is aligned and jiving and there is kind of this symbiotic relationship and they trust each other? Obviously, as I'm saying this, of course, yes, it has to be a yes, but tell us a little bit more about your experience with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having a vendor team that has one like sole mission and sole goal in mind is going to make the client's experience a million times better. If you have a vendor team that are, all working solo, they're very siloed in what they're doing and they all have different goals, that's going to make the wedding day or the event really like inconsistent and really choppy because everyone's kind of doing their own thing and working towards their own goals. But when you're all like collectively working towards one goal, I feel like that's just like that's where the magic happens. If someone is really focused on design, but your photographer is really focused on like the client experience and the emotion, I feel like there's like a lot of friction there because the design team wants you to capture like all the details the perfect way, but like you're more of a documentary photographer and
Mhm.
you're more about capturing the emotion. You're not as, in tune with the finer details and the aesthetic and things like that. So I feel like having yeah, that connection there just makes the day run so much better when you guys are all aligned in the same goal for the day for the client.
I think it even gives like us peace of mind as vendors, maybe more so as planners, because we're like, okay, we know our team, we trust them. I feel like I go into a wedding day
Yes.
feeling very like relaxed because I'm like, I know that photographer is going to be on time. They're going to be running their timeline really tight. Like it feels really good. And I think you can go into the day being like, this is going to be a great experience. Our clients are going to love it. Versus like when I don't know some vendors, it feels a little more risky or like, how are they going to operate on the day? Are we going to get along and different things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that makes a big difference for the vendors too, not just for like the client facing experience but for the whole vendor team experience. One of the things that we talked about earlier is like getting to know you on a deeper level and who you are. I think that's important for both the planner and the client because they're referring you. The client wants to know who you are. They're going to hire you based on who you are, what your personality is, a lot of your personal life, things like that. Clients want to hire people. They don't just want to blindly follow like anyone's advice. They want to hire people too. So I think it's important for the planner to know those people so that they could pass on that information. So that way when you're showing up on the wedding day, the planner, the whole vendor team knows who you are, you all know each other, but also the client knows who you are and they feel comfortable, they feel confident because they've learned who you are as a person as well.
Yeah, I have an upcoming client who unfortunately the photographer we hired didn't work out and so we had to find another one and I referred a couple people
Mm.
and my clients like picked one out. They had a call with her and like paid the deposit within 30 minutes. And her and I, the photographer and I got on a call and she was like, that was so fast. I'm like, I like, we've just built a relationship. I've been working with them for a year, but they're like, we trust you. We liked her work and it's like done. And she was kind of taken aback that they weren't asking her all these questions about like, seeing if they could trust her. It was like already there because I have the relationship with her and I have the relationship with them.
Yeah, yeah. It has to start somewhere, and I feel like you can be a voice on behalf of your vendor team if you know
Mhm.
them well enough. And I think that's the beauty in relationships and actually getting to know somebody because then you could pass that along to your clients too.
Yeah, for sure. Renee, this has been such a good conversation, and I feel like this is going to be really helpful for people as they go into this year and just, you know, showing up differently in their business and networking more. I think over the last couple of years, people want to like be at those in-person events more, even though we feel nervous. I think coming out of COVID, everyone felt so nervous. And like, I know that it's crazy because that was like 6 years ago,
Yeah.
but I still think people are like learning how to like be in those spaces. And I
Yeah.
think this is really helpful. So, I guess what to kind of leave our audience with some final questions, what's a mindset shift that you would tell people that they can make immediately to start connecting more intentionally with other vendors and making friends in the industry?
I think finding your people, and doing that as soon as possible and starting early on. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Um, People are going to accept you for who you are, and if they don't, that's okay. Then they're not your people. So you're allowed to be who you are. You could be yourself, be authentic, be weird, but also don't be afraid to put yourself in the room because I feel like no one is 100% comfortable being in the room either. So everyone is there, everyone has nerves. You're not the only person that is feeling that. Most likely everyone else is too. Yeah.
That's a good point. And lastly, Renee, like as you're launching or you've launched Artfully Aligned, what what does it mean to you to build a business and a community that really reflects values instead of just hard goals?
Yeah, I think finding a community that's based on values, really getting back to what your values are and defining that. I think it's helpful for not only the people that you're networking with, but also your clients. Your clients want to hire you based on who you are as a person, what your values are. Um, I think gone are the days are of where people are only solely hiring you based on your portfolio. They're also hiring you really on the person behind the business too.
Well, and especially Gen Z, right? Like we've talked
Yes.
about that in past episodes, that trust and seeing the person behind the logo is very important to them.
Yeah, they want to know who they're hiring. And I think the way that you do that is by putting yourself out there, both with your networking setting, but also your clients and just being showing up authentically and sharing that. I mean, a lot of people think that their goals are in their bio on their website somewhere like buried deep, but they can be elsewhere. They could be how you show up on social media. They could be the things that you're sharing. And you don't have to get too into the weeds to share what your values are, but just say, hey, like, I value my relationships with people, and that's great. Like it could just be as simple as that.
Mhm.
But also with Artfully Aligned, just getting back to what your values actually are and how those are serving you and how to honor those goals and those values in your business so that it feels aligned and you're feeling more fulfilled with the things that you're actually trying to achieve.
Love
I love
that.
that. Something for us all to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is perfect timing at the beginning of the year. There's still time to set goals and make sure that they are value driven and aligned with where you want to go. And if you don't know where to start, you can reach out to Renee.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Renee,
you
can
so
you,
much.
I was gonna say, can you tell us how people can find you online, how they can work with you with Artfully Aligned? Um, yeah, and also if you want to share more about just like how to join a WIPA chapter, if people are interested. I think some people like Gabby, I think have been intimidated to join WIPA, but that doesn't have to be the case.
Yeah. So for Artfully Aligned, my new website that I am just currently launching is artfullyaligned.com. And I'm starting off with just some basic like one-on-one coaching. And then my goal is to offer online courses and a mastermind to kind of reevaluate all those values areas in your business and talk together in a group setting with other people who might have similar values or different values. But I think it's going to be really fun to compare and contrast what people's values and goals are, and then see how those serve them in their business. And I think it's also going to be really helpful to see like, okay, yes, my goals can be different than other people's. And then in terms of WIPA, definitely go to your local WIPA chapter. We're trying really hard this year to make sure that everyone feels welcome and included. Um, yeah, I think to join for membership, there's three different options. You can join as like a corporate member, individual member, or if you're a newer business, you can join as an emerging member. So if you're just getting started, that's an option too. If you haven't
That's
been in the
great.
industry for 3 years yet, you can join as an emerging member, as a small business owner. So
That's great.
um, the events are really fun. Us as a chapter, we try to vary our events every year. So that way they're broken up into maybe some more formal events, some more low-key events. But we have 4 quarterly events per year for every chapter. And all of those events have education as well. And then we do, depending on your chapter, we do have some smaller meetups. Our goal this year is to do like more coffee chats, maybe some happy hours and things like that, just to foster that connection and give people a time to actually connect without, the stress of an event and a, dress code and dancing and all that too. So,
That's fun.
Amazing.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Renee. This was a really great conversation. We'll have to have you back on once
Yeah.
we've got our networking figured out for 2026 and beyond.
Yes.
So, no, appreciate so much. We'll link everything in the show notes. And Jabbers, you guys know you can find us on Substack for free, or you can join as a paid member and you get one extra bonus episode per month. And don't forget, we are back to weekly episodes here in 2026. So definitely tune in and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.